Hello, everyone. Welcome to our ATW After the Whistle summer special here on WLOY Loyola Radio, streaming online at WLOY.org and Campus TV channel 111.1. It's great to be back with all of you for this quick little summer episode. We're going to dive into some topics today, but first, I would be remiss if I wouldn't introduce ourselves. I'm going to start with my co-host, Jimmy Cody. And Jimmy, how are you today? How's your summer going? How's everything?
Everything's going well. Enjoying the summer, enjoying the weather, and yeah, just having a good time. How about you?
That's good. That's good. And to introduce myself, I'm Jeffrey Bozzi. We are the two co-hosts of After the Whistle, Loyola's premier sports talk radio show. And Jimmy, I'm doing well. I've been working a lot, but it's good to unwind, see some friends from back home, spend time with the family. And I am really excited for the fall. But I'm just glad to be here today to do a little special summer episode. And the main topic that we are going to dive into today is news that came out last Thursday about the NCAA and how they created a new way for college athletes to make some money. And it's called the NIL. And for people that do not know, the NIL stands for name, image, and likeness. And on Thursday, July 1st, this past Thursday, the NCAA passed, I guess you could say, air quote, a law, basically saying that college athletes can now profit from, like I said, their name, image, and likeness, and potentially up to 400,000 or 500,000 student athletes in the NCAA can now sign sponsorship deals. And most notably, Dave Portnoy, the president of Barstool Sports, he came up with this special program called Barstool Athlete. Basically, if you have an Instagram or a Twitter or Facebook, you could message him or you could email him basically asking to be sponsored by Barstool. And that's just one subset of it. But I've seen in Instagram bios of kids already putting Barstool Athlete. And that's just a subset of what is to come with these athletes not making money. And I would say so far, it's gotten pretty positive reviews just in general. I mean, I haven't heard many negative things about it, but what are your initial thoughts on it? And then I'll dive back into it.
So my initial thoughts of the whole NIL, the new rule, is obviously I'm for it. I think that if you have the ability to make money off of yourself, you should be allowed to do so. And I mean, it seemed always pretty unfair to me that these athletes brought in so much money for, these schools. I mean, we're talking not just millions, but billions over the course of time. I mean, think how much the March Madness basketball TV deal is. I mean, it's insane the deal that they have with CBS and Turner. It's insane. I think it's almost a might be billions. I don't know if it's that high, but it's close. So I mean, and that's just a month. So imagine what it's like over years. And some of these guys play for 4 years. Obviously, I'm in favor for it. Like I said, I mean, I haven't seen any negative attention about it. I don't know how anyone could say, "Oh no, they just shouldn't be making money." Um, the only concern I will say though is, and this is the first thing that I thought about, how is this going to affect teams? Like, how, you're going to have teams where there's going to be guys who are making a bunch of money, and then you might have teams where there's on the same team, guys are on the same field, they might play next to each other. This other guy's not making any money. You know what I mean? So I always wonder, like, how, a situation where like a quarterback is making all this money and maybe the linemen, they have no recognition whatsoever, or maybe they do, but it's very little. And I just wonder sometimes that's going to create like sort of like a rift in between the team. And I think that's something that colleges have to worry about. And I think honestly too, going forward, how colleges are going to help their athletes make money and help them like in terms of marketing, that's going to be huge because I think like kids are going to lean to play to schools that market their brand better and maybe get players an opportunity with brands and deals and other things. You know what I mean? I think that's going to be a huge part of it because right now we're at the beginning stages of it. And, there's not really, I think a lot of people don't really know exactly what to do, but all the athletes are just jumping at the first opportunity. But, once someone comes up with a good system, that they're going to be the leader. And maybe it will be Barstool. I mean, they signed over, I think, 50,000 people signed up for it. So, I mean, that's a lot of athletes. That's a lot of advertising going their way, especially in a market that they already dominate amongst young people. So, I mean, that's really my thoughts on it. I'm mostly in favor of it, but I'm kind of I'm interested to see how it will play in the future. How about you, Jeff?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with most of the stuff that you said. I still have to look into it. I basically know what the basic components of NIL are. I mean, I have to do more research, but I think it's good. I mean, it's obviously good for the players, like you said. I mean, it's also good just in general. I mean, these athletes are going to be playing the sports that they love. And then on top of that, they're going to be receiving compensation for playing the sports that they like. And listen, I think another bonus is that I think it might keep these athletes in school longer. And I just look to basketball, especially because you see all these one and dones from the
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
big Top Gun schools like Kansas, Kentucky, Duke, Villanova, and whatnot. But I think that's great because they will keep these kids in school for not just 1 or 2 years, but maybe 3 or all 4 years.
No, that's definitely you're 100% right about that. Because think about the amount of guys that leave after 1 year. I mean, the whole thing is one and done because they just want to play their 1 year that they have to play, and then they move on to the NBA and make money. And the whole reason was obviously money. So if they can make money, like think about how much money Zion Williamson would have made his year in college, or someone like Johnny Manziel or Tim Tebow. You know what I mean? I
Mhm.
mean, that's a game changer.
No, and like you said, they're not just going to leave school early just to chase being a professional and making money right away. Now they can stay in college and make money in college. And just even if you don't play a sport, I mean, you're in college because you're doing everything you can to get an internship and then eventually get a job because your college is kind of like the building block before you get a job. But I'm really in favor of this. I really like it, and I think it's going to be great for the NCAA. Do you have any other thoughts on it?
No, I really don't have anything into addition to what we hit on. I think obviously we said the positive sides. I said a couple of the negative sides that could potentially arise, but um, I don't know. I mean, I don't really see a reason to hate it. I'm sure the schools, it's not like it's coming out of their pocket. It's the whole thing was when they wanted to quote unquote pay the players was the schools didn't have the money. And this was one of the things that I said because I actually did a presentation my first semester here about why athletes should be paid. And it was kind of like the system that it is now. And where, it's just kind of like they go out and they do their own sort of deals. You know what I mean? I think that's the best way to do it. You're not taking money away from the colleges because, maybe to pay football players, they would have to cut other sports. Like that's a concern. You don't want people getting cut, like teams getting cut and people losing opportunities. I think this is just sort of the best way because it will let the market kind of figure out like, okay, this person's worth this much, this person's worth this much. I mean, there's going to be value everywhere because the fact of the matter is D1 athletes have value because people watch college sports. So I don't really see a negative at all. I just wonder how it will affect teams. But there's always people who there's separations within teams, and sometimes that happens. So that's something that any team would have to overcome. But like I said, mostly positive.
Yeah, no, it's definitely mostly positive. Excuse me. And then I would just add maybe one or two other things before we wrap this up. I think it kind of eliminates this whole scholarship thing, basically meaning, oh, these players are gonna have scholarships. It kind of puts that to bed in a way, um, in my
What do
opinion.
you mean? They're still going to get the scholarships.
Yeah, but I just feel like I don't know. It just doesn't seem like that's gonna be. Oh, it's like, oh, cool, you get a scholarship, but now you're still gonna be paid either way.
Okay. I
You know what
see
I
what you
mean?
mean. I thought you saying they weren't going to get scholarships anymore. I'm like, no, they're still going to
No,
get
I just feel
scholarships.
like people are gonna view scholarships maybe a little differently now, just because
I mean,
I don't know.
it's still a big deal. You know what I mean? It's not
Yeah,
like it's not a big deal to be getting college paid for you. You know what I
no,
mean?
it totally is. But
I
then Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I just say like I was gonna say what I said before, how it's just gonna be like when as far as commitments go for these top colleges, how are they gonna be able to attract players through marketing? Like, what can we do for you as far as your brand?
Yeah, no, and that's all about branding. I mean, name, like, image and likeness. If these athletes can put themselves out there and sign these professional deals with professional services or companies, because that's, I think, in the clauses. I think it says here, individuals can use professional services provider for NIL activities, and then they just have to report all their activities within the NIL to state law or school and conference requirements.
I really wonder, and this is one of the things that I was thinking about. I mean, how much money are some of these players going to be bringing in? Like, like, seriously, like
No, I think
there
you're
were some
right. Yeah.
stars.
No, I agree with you.
Adventure and friendship.
You good?
Sorry, I have some audio issues here. I'm trying to fix it.
Got your computer playing in the back. It's all right.
Yeah,
But I mean, there's going to be plenty of guys who are going to be making like big time money. But I really wonder,
yeah,
like, how high is this going to go? Is it going to be like 1 million, 2 million, 5 million, 10
yeah,
million? I mean, you know, I mean, with how popular some of these guys are, there's no really telling how big it will go.
yeah. And then that led me to my next point, which is going to be my last point. And I think you mentioned this earlier, is the pay disparity between certain players. I feel like will be a topic to discuss because I don't know. There's going to be. I'll just use Alabama as an example. I mean, let's just say NIL was in effect last year. I mean, you would think Mac Jones and Devonta Smith would be the two highest paid players, but then there's other players. How do you split up the money? Like, how do you determine who gets what kind of money? Like, who makes more than others? Like, it's a tricky situation.
That's why schools have to kind of take initiative on their end to be like, all right, we're going to kind of help the players. That's going to be something too. You know, I think colleges are going to be like, you know what, we kind of need marketing people and to branch out for us to help these kids because that's going to be a huge part of it. Because A, they don't want to break up the team, and B, they kind of want it to look better for the athlete. So I agree with you.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how all this plays out because I have no idea how it's going to go. I mean, obviously, it's a positive. These athletes are going to be making money, not just for their performances on the court, on the field, or wherever, but they're also going to be making it off the field with signing deals with these companies. And it's going to be interesting to see. But I want to switch gears and briefly touch on one more topic for this quick little summer special. And it's the NBA Finals. And it starts tomorrow. We've got who would have thought we would have the Milwaukee Bucks and the Phoenix Suns as the last two teams standing? I have no idea.
Neither of us did. I mean, I told you it wasn't going to be the Sixers, and of course they melted down in the way only I could have hoped. It was just such an enjoyable series for me to watch Trey Young and the Hawks take over the Sixers, and Ben Simmons didn't make any free throws and jump shots, and he was a disaster. And
Mhm.
boy, that was enjoyable for me. That was enjoyable for me. Not
Yeah.
for you, but it was very enjoyable
No.
for me. I mean,
That night was tough, but I don't know how I got over that after.
how about Brooklyn though? I mean, not being able to beat Milwaukee. I mean, that's just as big a story. I think that was almost bigger than the Sixers. Like KD played
Yeah.
phenomenal. Kyrie gets hurt. Harden's out there on one hamstring, barely walking. He's playing, trying his best. It was insane. I mean, the injuries were insane. But another thing too about the Suns, they kind of got lucky with injuries too because Anthony Davis got hurt. They were down 2-1.
Yeah, I was gonna get into that. This has definitely been the story of the injury, these playoffs. I mean, you can list so many guys. I mean, Embiid missed a few games for the
Donovan
Sixers.
Mitchell,
Donovan Mitchell missed a few. Mike Conley missed basically the Clippers series.
Kawhi,
Kawhi Leonard got hurt. Giannis is currently injured. Anthony
Trey
Davis
Young,
and LeBron. Trey Young was hurt. Yeah. Definitely with Brooklyn, you saw Harden go down. You saw Kyrie
Kyrie.
go down. I'm definitely forgetting other people too. Oh, what's his name? I'm trying to remember on Denver.
Jamal
Murray.
Murray was out in the regular
He was
season.
already out. Yeah. Well, yeah, these playoffs have been crazy because we haven't seen really a fully healthy team. And like you said about the Suns, if there's one team where they've stayed like relatively healthy, I know Chris Paul missed 2 games because of COVID-19, but you take that out, they've been healthy. The whole team's been healthy.
Yeah.
It's just been a crazy playoffs.
Is Giannis going to be back for the finals? I mean, I haven't really heard anything.
Yeah, I was gonna get into that. So I know that he had a hyperextended knee. I think that's what it was.
He could play through.
Yeah, apparently the injury after the MRI was a lot, not a lot worse. What am I saying?
A lot better
It was
than it
a
had
lot better than
seemed.
expected. Yeah. Um, I don't know if he's gonna play in the series. I think his status is unclear, but apparently he's making decent progress, so maybe he could play.
Well,
Like,
I
I don't know
saw
if he'll play
something.
tomorrow, but I don't know.
I saw some before the last game that he was in the weight room doing stuff, and it wasn't necessarily that he couldn't do things. It's just like he was struggling on the court to do basketball things. And obviously, that's the most important thing. You know what I mean? Because if he
Mhm.
can't actually play basketball, then he's no use out there.
Mhm. Well, I was gonna get into that because do you think the Bucks have a chance if Giannis misses however many games? If he misses the first 2 games or misses game 3, I don't think he'll miss the entire series. I think he's gonna
Completely
come back.
disagree. I
You
actually
think miss the whole
think
series?
I think the Bucks are going to play a lot better than people expect. They played, I'm not going to lie, they're an inconsistent team outside of Giannis. Some of those guys do not bring it every game. But you know what? When they all play together, and they kind of played more as a team the second time around, they didn't look that bad. Chris Middleton looked really good. And obviously, I don't know if Chris Middleton can put those type of stats up every single time. I don't know if Drew Holiday can do it every single time. But I mean, I think they can be at least competitive. I mean, they're obviously not going to be the favorite over the Suns. The way the Suns have played, they've looked dominating at times out there with Chris Paul and Booker and Ayton. And hey, Cam Payne off the bench, he's playing really well too. I mean, they look good. They look really good, and the Bucks are obviously down their star. But you know what? Crazier stuff has happened. Crazy. What if Devin Booker or Chris Paul got hurt? Then the
Yeah, God
series would
forbid.
completely
Yeah.
change.
Yeah. No, you're totally right. And it's just crazy how Phoenix has been that one team that stayed healthy. And like you said, they've gotten a little lucky, but I don't want to take anything away from Phoenix because they can't control other teams' injuries.
No, they can't.
Like the first round, you were right. I mean, they were down 2-1 in the first round to the Lakers, and they had that game 4 on the road. That was basically the series. They win that, and then they won the next 2. They beat the depleted Lakers. Then they absolutely dispatched Denver. I mean,
Yeah, Denver looked
they
terrible.
just had no offense without Murray. Murray's like the guy that can take over.
They had no offense, and also they
So
didn't play any
no,
defense either, which was their strength
that's
without
true.
Murray.
And the one thing they did well is that they let Jokic score a lot and not play make, and that really hurt Denver. And then in the conference finals, I truly believe that if Kawhi Leonard was healthy, I think the Clippers would have won that series.
I
That's
honestly, it's funny you bring that up about Kawhi Leonard because I actually was impressed with Paul George. He almost, in my eyes, looks like he plays better without Kawhi Leonard out there.
yeah, and I want to add on to that. I remember in Indiana, he was the guy back when
Yeah.
he was starting to come into the superstar-ish kind of player that he is. He's
Mm-hmm.
way better when he's playing as the number one option. I mean, you saw what he did that one series against the Heat back in 2013, 2014, whatever year it was. And then you see him go to OKC, does not too terrible, but he's like not what he should be. And then he goes to the Clippers and he's pandemic P, Pfizer P, playoff P, push off P, whatever you want to call him.
He's
But
finally back to being playoff P.
yeah, I like Pfizer P the best personally, but he was really good in that series. I mean, he took it into his own hands. I mean, I'm surprised that it actually went to 6. I thought they would. I thought it was gonna be like 5. I didn't think it was gonna be close. Just I thought the Suns had way too much offense, but they made it a little bit of a series.
No, they
But
did.
I'm
The
gonna get back.
difference is Chris Paul, though. The difference is Chris Paul, and that's going to be the same thing in the next series. How does
Yeah,
Drew Holiday versus Chris Paul is the most important matchup of the whole entire thing,
yeah,
whether
and then
Giannis
yeah.
plays or doesn't play.
Yeah, my thing is when you go back to talking about Middleton, Holiday, and those guys, I feel like Holiday is the key. I think he's the X factor. I mean, if Giannis plays, that's obviously great for the Bucks. You can kind of expect Middleton to play well most nights. There's
Well,
some,
I don't know if you can expect that because
I
some
know I
nights he
said
looks
that's why I said
terrible,
most nights, but because
and
there's
some
some
nights he looks really good. So I
I
would
know,
say you can expect anything out of him. Especially, the Suns are a very good defensive team too, Jeffrey. With Bridges,
yeah, and Crowder. No, you're right.
yeah, they can defend. So I don't know
Yeah,
if I would expect anything really out of anybody on the Bucks. I mean, especially with the way the Suns have
yeah, I just think
been
they need
playing.
Holiday. If Giannis is out tomorrow, they need Middleton to be like he's got to get 30 at least.
I think so. Yeah.
He and Holiday got to have 55 combined at least. But I feel like the DiVincenzo injury is not talked about. I thought that was a huge loss. Might
Well,
be a little
anytime you
biased
lose
because
your
he's from
backup,
Villanova,
anytime
but
you lose the point guard, it's an effect,
yeah,
especially
but
when he's running your second offense.
I mean, he's also a shooter.
Well, yeah,
And like Bryn Forbes is like a good shooter, but he's nothing special.
no, he's not gonna. He's
And
not
Brooke
gonna.
Lopez, I know he had a few great games recently, but you can't expect that every night.
You can't expect that every night. I do agree with that, but I think it's interesting because the Suns and the Bucks play very similar
Mhm.
in the way that, like, the way that their styles, like, in terms of their lineups, those ways they play similar. They both use a big guy. We saw both those teams struggle when sometimes teams played a little bit smaller against them, which they're not going to be doing to each other because that's not when they're at their strength.
No, I agree. And it's funny that you say that because these teams are not very big down low. I mean, DeAndre Ayton's the only real big guy on the Suns. And then the Bucks, they have Brooke Lopez, but he doesn't play down low a lot. He's usually camping out at the 3-point line.
Yeah,
So that'll be interesting if he can drag Ayton out to the 3-point line, defend that. I mean, that could create some driving opportunities. But all in all, if everything goes right, Phoenix is going to win the series. I mean, they just have too much offense, I think. I mean, Chris
I think it
Paul,
depends on Giannis. It depends on if
that's
Giannis plays or
that's
not.
true. And listen, they played twice in the regular season and Phoenix won both games, but they won both games by 1 point each. So they're very evenly matched if they're all healthy. But I just think Phoenix has too much offense because listen, Giannis is a great player, but I think down the stretch, like he said he obviously trusts Middleton, but I feel like if Middleton's off, I mean, who else are they gonna go to
Yeah,
down the
that's the
stretch?
key. If Middleton's off, they have no chance.
And also, if Giannis is the guy down the stretch, if I'm Phoenix, I'm hacking away because you've seen the whole free throw thing with him
That's
this
true.
season.
That's another concern.
I mean, I know personally with Simmons, but
Yeah.
at least I know Simmons is gonna get the shot off. But that's gonna be something to watch. And I don't know. I think Devin Booker is just that guy. Um, I just think he's that one dude that's just gonna take over. I mean, I don't know if there's anyone in the Bucks that can like take over like Booker can. Maybe Middleton, Giannis. I don't know. It's just if he somehow go on fire from 3-point range, maybe. But I don't know. I just think Phoenix is a better team overall. And like you said, their defense is so underrated. No one talks about how good their defense is.
Yeah,
And they have a lot of depth too. Like
they do have a lot of depth.
it's not just about Paul, Aiton, and Booker. I mean, they got Crowder and Bridges, like you said, Saric and Payne, and like other guys like Torrey Craig. Like they have all these guys that just fit their role really well. I think it's going to be a decent series, but I think Phoenix will take it in 6. How about you?
I mean, I would have to say Phoenix is my pick too. I definitely think that they are the better team, and especially with where Giannis is at, I don't know if he's going to be playing Game 1, and if Phoenix, if he's not playing Game 1 and also happens to not play Game 2, there's a very high chance that Bucks could be going back to Milwaukee down 2-0, and whew, the series could be over quick. I mean, it really could with the way the Suns are playing. I'm hopeful that we get a good series, and I'm hopeful that every player is going to play their best because I like that. I like when like teams play their best ball in the championship. Like I hated this last year's Super Bowl where we watched Kansas City play terrible, and it was just a cakewalk for the whole second half because of how bad they played. Like, I hate that. Like, I like a good Super Bowl. Like, I love when the best teams play their best game in the championship. So I want to see like a great series, and we've had some great series. We've had the Warriors and the Cavs a couple like not too long ago go 7. We had watching the Raptors beat the Warriors. That was fun. You know what I mean? So I like when the series are competitive. So I guess I'm a little hopeful that the Bucks are going to play good basketball. But like I said, I think the Suns are the team to beat. Real quick, Jeffrey, who is your pick for the Finals MVP if you had to pick one? And obviously, since we're both going to be picking the Suns, who would you say it would be the MVP for the Suns? I'll say mine first, Chris Paul.
Okay. All right. I'm actually surprised that you said that. I actually would love to see Chris Paul win the Finals MVP, just
So
let alone because he's never won a title. He's never been in
Mhm.
the finals. I was just going to go with Booker because I feel like he's just going to put up 25, 30 every game. I just feel like he's going to be that constant guy on offense. We're going to give him the ball. He's going to knock down like most shots from the outside. I just think he's just electric.
Mhm.
So I'll go with Booker. But I could totally see Paul winning. I don't think Ayton could win just because I feel like he won't put up big enough numbers to. But if the Bucks win the title, I would say probably Middleton or Giannis.
Or
Neither.
Holiday if he plays
Yeah.
really great.
Who knows? Holiday could put up 30 every game.
There's or hey, it could be Brook Lopez for all we know. Even though Brook Lopez, there was times in the Brooklyn series where he made me crazy with some of his mistakes. But you know what? They're there now. That's all
Yeah.
that matters.
And the other thing is Phoenix has never won a championship ever. And Milwaukee only has one title, and that was way back in 1971, I think.
Back when they played in the Mecca.
Yeah. So one of these teams is going to get their long-awaited title, either the second for the Bucks or the first ever for the Suns. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how it all unfolds. Yeah. You got anything else on it?
I got nothing else to add. We pretty much hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, I think we did. I think it's going to be a good series, and I hope it goes the distance.
Me as
All right.
well.
Well, thank you all for tuning in to our summer special, I should say. And we might have some more content out maybe later in the summer. If not, you may hear from us towards the beginning of September as we start to prep for another year, another season, I guess you could say, of After the Whistle. But for now, I was Jeffrey Bazzi alongside my co host, Jimmy Cody. And we will see you guys next time.
Take care.